So excited because I'm going to share. I decided, you know what I decided was I'm playing too small. Is anybody else playing too small? Like, you don't, you know that you're capable of so much more. You know that, like, this calling on your heart is here for a reason. And yet you're still trying to navigate how to show up, how to be authentic, how to be vulnerable, how to do all of the things, what system to follow, what framework to have. Do I write a book? Do I do a TEDx? Do I speak on stages? Do I help companies, corporations, entrepreneurs? What's in my offer? What is my offer? Is any of this resonating? Because I know it's been a crazy 2 years, 2.5 years. So, for those of you who don't know, um, April 17th, 2023, I was let go unexpectedly from my day job where I was so happy and I was making a really good living as the VP of sales. I had an incredible team and I just never in a million years thought I would be let go. So if that's ever happened to you, wave at me or be like, I have, Kristen. It's not, this isn't something we want to brag about. It's just like, I understand. In fact, I wanted to be our chief sales officer. And that was why I decided to write my first book, which is Be a Better Sales Leader, because I wanted to demonstrate to my CEO that I understood what it took to be a sales leader, a better sales leader, how to manage up, how to manage your team. And then in the middle of writing that book, I got unexpectedly let go. And the day, the week, the month I was let go, we were massively in debt. We were dying on a full gut renovation home 2,000 miles away. We were then soon to be in a divorce. Like, it was just messy upon messy upon messy. So, again, wave at me or say messy in the comments if this has ever happened to you. And it's not to be like, oh, yeah, this is something we should brag about, but life be life in, and I get it, right? But in the moments of hanging up the Zoom call with my CEO and my SVP of HR at 10:10 a.m. on April 17th, 2023, I had to make a decision. So say decision. I had to make a decision. Was I going to say that this happened to me and become a victim, or was I going to say this happened for me and use this as the chance to finally do something that I knew was always on my heart? But I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. My grandfather, he was a very successful entrepreneur in the ball bearing manufacturing space. Lots of my family members, right, have been or are currently entrepreneurs. But for me, the goal was always hidden beneath the safety and security of my job, the fact that we had no savings, that we had debt. Like, it was never like a good time. Kind of like when you have kids, it's never really a good time to have kids. You just need to jump, right? And so when I got let go, I thought, well, this is my time. And I started to monetize my background because luckily I had some mentorship at the time, and that was the advice. If you don't know what to monetize, monetize who you were yesterday. And I thought, okay, well, I could do that. So I started selling sales consulting back to the industry that I had spent 18 years in. And I loved it. I was good at it. I learned about higher ticket offers. I learned how to charge for my worth, not give away the farm. And then, even though I felt at the time like I was dying in implementation because I was either in back to back to back meetings selling what I had sold or prospecting for more business, I knew that there needed to be an easier way to scale. So somebody, if you're watching, say easy in the chat. And easy meant like, how can I clone myself? What am I supposed to do? Do I hire a sales team to help me sell more consulting gigs, or do I certify people who work for me to help them implement what I had sold? But the thing is, I knew I didn't want to be a corporate sales trainer. Like, nothing wrong with that. I just knew I didn't want to do that. In fact, I was admiring coaches and mentors online who were serving other entrepreneurs. I knew that was my calling. And I needed to decide that I was worth it. So it was another decision point. So somebody say, decide, right? I needed to decide I was worth it. Not only was I worth it on April 17th, 2023 at 10:10 a.m. to take a bet on myself, at least until I found another job, other people would say. But I knew that this is what I wanted to do. But I needed to make constant decision points. It was basically the 4 steps, say yes and figure it out framework, repeated multiple times a day. I needed to decide, take a step, lean in, and then celebrate. And sometimes that celebration point was like, oh, well, they didn't accept my proposal, make another one. Find somebody else, have a pipeline. Sometimes the decision or the celebration point was like, oh my gosh, I won a client. Because on the day I got let go, I won my first client at 2 p.m. And then I never stopped moving. But fast forward 8 months, this is when I was stuck in implementation, and one of my clients offered me a job. And I thought, oh my gosh, like maybe this is what I'm supposed to do, because maybe my ego's in the way. We need money. We are now in the middle of a divorce. Like, what? Maybe this is it. So I took the job. And if anybody else has ever taken a job, maybe after being an entrepreneur or a similar situation, wave at me and let me know. But instantly I felt like I had given everything away. Even though I had negotiated the contract to say I could still pursue things like my TEDx or other engagements, I just could no longer consult competitors. Well, that made sense to me, but I still, like, for the 4 months I worked at that job, I just felt like something was missing. Has that ever happened to you? Like, you're doing all the things and you're acting accordingly, but it just doesn't feel like it fills your cup, or in fact something feels like it's missing. That's how it felt. And luckily it was 4 months later where we agreed that I was no longer going to work there, and then I had to make another decision. And this other decision was that nobody else's opinions pay my bills. So let's put that in the chat. Nobody else's opinions, I can't type and talk at the same time, pay my bills, right? So if you're tracking, that meant that despite having this house in Indiana that was like practically bankrupting us, being in the middle of a divorce, having 2 small kids, having a California size mortgage, not being able to move, all these things, these life circumstances, I decided that no one else's opinions paid my bills. And in fact, I wasn't getting my nails done. I wasn't buying anything at all. I was literally just surviving. Have you ever been in the mode where you're simply surviving? And it doesn't feel good, but I knew that I needed to keep going. What's up, Carmen? And the reason for continuing to keep going is because consistency compounds. It's that itching inside of you that says, this is hard, I'm tired, I want to give up, I feel like I'm failing, I am failing, it's not getting any easier, when are the days getting shorter, where is the fun in my life, when can I go back to going out to dinner, let alone going out with my friends, when can I start traveling again, all of those things. But I knew I needed to stay consistent. That's why I should apply this advice to my diet because they say you can't out train a bad diet. And although I'm not really training on that right now either, consistency compounds in weight gain or weight loss as well. Consistency just compounds, friends. And so I needed to stay the course. I had a lot of amazing bosses in corporate. One of my favorite bosses, that's what he would always say, stay the course. And so what that meant was don't give up, right? So stay the course. But here's the thing, iteration is the name of the game, okay? And so stay the course of being an entrepreneur, stay the course that you're not meant to go work back at corporate, but iterate your offers. Don't dig a grave on the same thing with tunnel vision goggles on when nobody's buying it, just shoving a round peg in a square hole. You need to be able to pick your head up and look around and say, what is that 1% shift I need to make in order to quantum leap? This is gold. This literally is gold. So, what is that 1% shift I need to make in order to quantum leap? Now, quantum is when a piece of particle of matter is over here and all of a sudden appears over here without any rhyme or reason. And that's obviously based in physics, but the reality is quantum leaping can happen to all of us. In fact, in 2024, I quantum leaped so many times because between dying in implementation in 2023 and then taking this other job, it was about May of 2024 when I parted, April 2024, when I parted ways from this other job, found another mentor, learned the art and strategy of higher ticket offers and selling one to many, and really gave myself permission to step into the next identity. And that's not even the identity I'm at now, but the next, somebody say next, the next identity. And what happened that year is I saw a hypnotherapist. I had emotional sobriety training. So shout out to Ty Hunter, shout out to Dr. Andrea Vitz. And I sold the house in Indiana after it being on the market for like 9 months, right? We got it all cash, 14-day close. Walked through that door one day and I took it, and I hope the house is doing well, but the reality is I'm doing well. And while I wanted to keep that house because it was my grandparents' home and I never, ever, ever wanted to have bought it, renovated it without cash in the bank, and then poured love, blood, sweat, and tears into it to simply sell it because man, it was beautiful, and man, it was already cash flowing for Airbnb, for Notre Dame games. I needed to make a decision, and that decision was releasing the house was the best thing for me. Now, those of you who might know or might not know, and I know I'm sharing this on a public feed, but like this is how I pour my heart out in my master classes and in my close coaching corners, because I believe that authenticity and vulnerability is what matters most today more than it did before, because AI is everywhere and we're like, Kristen, are you real? Is this really you, or is this your AI clone? And so I just want to share some of these things because I share them anywhere. I share them on stages, I share them in my master classes, I share them in other people's stages. And so it's important for you to know, to see that what you see today is a result of these decisions, the consistency, the iteration, getting out of my own way, declaring that nobody else's opinions pay my bills, quantum leaping, making 1% shift after 1% shift. And one of my favorite things to do is then teach people how to live more in their imagination, which is wild because that's where the biggest shifts happen. But I wanted to share some of the story, including the tragedy of my house and my financial situation, to let you know that I'm still not 100% okay. And no, this isn't a call for money, but it is a declaration that when you're consistent, when you keep showing up, when you're making decisions, when you're like, it's okay, I'm going to share where I am in my journey, share where I am in my journey. People think that you only should share your journey when you're finished, when you get to the destination. But that's not even the point of life. The point of life is to enjoy where you are, to enjoy the present. And in order to enjoy the present, we need to really tune into the idea that if we share where we are, it's going to inspire just one person. I've got a bunch of people right now writing their first or next best-selling book with me as I write my third book. And the whole idea of this is detaching from the book being, 1 million downloads out of the gate. Like, I've sold a couple hundred copies of both of my books combined. The point is, I've sold a couple hundred copies of my books. The point is impacting one person, one. If your story, if your transparency, if your vulnerability, if your authenticity can change just one person's life, I would argue that it would be more than worth it. My mentor and friend Eileen Wilder says there is more than enough of more than enough of more than enough to go around. And right, there's a bunch of strategies we teach around making an offer compelling. Even when I was selling, I'm going to get a sip of water, but even when I was selling language translation services for 18 years, whether I was working at the biggest of the biggest companies in my industry, which I did the first 10 years of my career, or working at mid-sized companies, or consulting the smaller companies, the message was the same. We're all selling the same thing. And we're not even packaging it necessarily different, but we are differentiating parts of our services or pieces of what we offer in order to make clients be called to our voice, to buy from Lionbridge versus RWS versus ULG. A lot of these companies, the names of them don't even exist anymore because the industry just gobbles everybody up and changes the names of everything. But the point, that's almost the point, but also the point is whether you're selling language translation services or coaching to, you know, entrepreneurs or anything in between, whether you're a roofer or an HVAC company or a contractor, like, it doesn't matter. The competition is healthy, and it's up to you to be a brand representative of you and your company. In fact, I taught this even to myself and my team in corporate, is how to build a personal brand that resonated with the company's values, right? So how do I represent my company the best while also differentiating me as a sales rep? Because in an industry where there's hundreds and hundreds of companies, there's thousands of sales reps, and people buy from people they know, like, and trust. So people are buying from you today because they resonate with you. And that resonance comes from vulnerability, authenticity, feeling like they are getting to know you. And so that's why I'm here sharing all of this, because I want you to know that I'm here and I'm consistent and I'm showing up and I'm still doing the dang thing because I love, love, love what I get to do for work. I am enamored by the fact that I spend half of my day living in my imagination, that most days I only work 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., that on the weeks I have my kids, most often I pick them up around 3 p.m., that I'm able to go and be present at sports, that I don't have work I have to do overnight, and that I do find pockets of time, of course, to work longer days because I want to and because I get to, not because I have to. And that through lots of different collaboration and joint ventures this year, I've been able to travel, mainly to Houston, Texas, but also to several other places for work, and coach and teach and inspire. And so if this message is inspiring you or resonating with you in any way, you have to let me know. But more importantly, I wanted to come on and share that people are going to continue to be people, right? And if you feel called to a higher place, if you're a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're a course creator, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business owner, if you're a human on this planet and you want to make more money, then this video is for you, because I'm just typing this in the chat. If you want to make more money, comment below, because I'm on a mission now. I've had epiphany after epiphany after epiphany. I've had a quantum leap after a quantum leap. I recently decided, I'm trying to find where my phone is. I've recently decided that I'm going all in. Somebody say all in on this. So for originally I was teaching sales, right? And then I started saying to entrepreneurs, oops, you just became an accidental salesperson, whether you realize it or not, because as a CEO or entrepreneur, as a single member LLC or as an S Corp, like whatever you are, welcome to sales, because nothing is going to get done without sales. And so, how do we use my two-step framework to sell anything in the DMs without being salesy or sleazy? And my oh my, did that cause some controversy on Instagram when Bradley posted that as a reel to his channel. But hey, like, I guess I made it now because I have haters. And also, uh, comments are good for the algorithm, right? So I know I had to like think about it for a second because it really started to bother me. This is like my first big moment in time, and it really started to bother me. And then I was like, no, because I know A, that reel was taken out of context, and that B, I know that this framework, the two-step framework to sell anything and everything without being salesy or sleazy, that when applied, it's 100% genuine. It is it is all human. It's all about them. It's not about me. And spoiler alert, we don't use the DMs to get the sales. We use the DMs to get the calls. So my DM framework, my one-to-many, selling one-to-many, using a masterclass to like gather a bunch of people together, using a pop-up party to also do this. This is why I'm doing this pop-up party next week called Ask the Author for my third book. And I would be smart if I had like a landing page for it, but I'm running so fast right now, I absolutely do not. So comment also below pop-up party if you want to hang out with me at the Ask the Author party next week. But my point is, I'm teaching other entrepreneurs. I have been teaching entrepreneurs, course creators, consultants, humans, business owners, everybody in between, how to make more money. And part of that is through all of my various sales methodologies, right? Because it's not a one size fits all methodologies. And I have frameworks for higher ticket offers. I have frameworks for identifying your avatar. One of my clients made one shift to her avatar and had a $10,000 pay in full sale within 30 days. So many of my clients have used my frameworks to get their first or next higher ticket offer. I've coached hundreds of people at this point on the strategies of getting unstuck, getting out of your own way, getting imposter syndrome. Just yesterday, I did 6 back-to-back calls with people from a community on what is the unlock they need. And the crazy thing is, when they fill out this, when they select a time on my calendar, there's 2 questions to answer to give me more context. 99% of the people don't answer the questions. And so we get on these 25-minute calls and they tell me what they need, and I unlock for them where they specifically are, usually within like 10 minutes. It's wild to me that it continues to happen this way. And by the end of the 25 minutes, they are like shouting from the rooftop because I meet the person where they are. There isn't a one size fits all to this. This is like real human zone of genius coaching. Okay. And why I'm sharing this is because I'm now going all in. I said that 3 minutes ago. I'm saying it again. I'm going all in. I've created what is going to become the offer of all offers of all offers. So if you've ever wanted any of my frameworks for sales, DMs, one-to-many, masterclasses, high ticket offers, book selling, co-hosting, do you know I came out the gate this year and killed it instantly in a co-hosting offer? I created off the back of like a bunch of people just asking me like, hey, can you help me do this thing? Can you help me run my masterclass? And I was like, yeah. And then as I won a client and I delivered, then I iterated a little and I won several more clients and I delivered and I iterated a little bit more. And this offer has gone from, anyway, just like transactional to transformational is what this offer has done. This offer is transformational, helping people get sales before, during, and after their events, whether they're pop-up parties, masterclasses, etc. I popped up a book framework, my best-selling author framework. It was always on my heart, but I popped it up simply because I wanted some accountability buddies to write my third book. And so everything, everything, somebody say everything. I'm going to pause for the cause. Everything. Everything I've ever done, and now everything I'll continue to do, the Say Yes framework, a co-hosting certification, everything is going to be in this evergreen offer, and it's going to be bi-weekly calls with me. It's going to be full access to everything. It's going to be quarterly events, so 4 events a year, 2 live, 2 virtual. It's going to be community. It's going to be hand in hand mentorship. It's literally going to be the thing that's going to launch thousands of you into the stratosphere to finally get or become who you've always wanted to be. But that's the thing. Somebody say, that's the thing, Kristen. The thing is, in order to quantum leap, in order to step into the version of yourself that you know is capable, you have to have an identity shift. You have to have an identity shift in order to become the person capable of making their first $100,000 as an entrepreneur, the person capable of doing $300,000 in revenue in year 2. You have to have an identity shift from hustle harder to billionaire baller. This is just the identity I came up with. You can come up with any of your own, but we want to go from hustle harder to billionaire baller, because it isn't about working harder. That's cool, right? Hustle harder to billionaire. It's not about hustling harder. It's not. I've spent lots. Somebody say lots. I've spent lots of money. So much money it would make somebody like not a lot, like a lot of money. Like multiple 6 figures. And time, lots of time to learn and hack the system of how to scale to your first 7 figures and beyond. In fact, I have a system that can scale you, the right entrepreneur that has a buyer's list and an offer but doesn't have X or Y. I have the ability to scale you to 7-figure days. Like, no joke. And not even anything funny business, because why would we ever do that? It's like delivering real results for your clients who are buying into that offer while you make $1 million. Because in this side of the internet, it's okay for us to talk about wealth. It's good to talk about wanting to be rich. That's why my third book, if you didn't pick up on it, is called Simpler, because it doesn't have to be hard. Faster, because money loves speed. Richer, because you should want to acquire money and wealth. Your clients want to celebrate you becoming wealthier as they're getting results. And my results aren't attached to my clients' outcomes. It's just that the more people call to my voice, is that okay, rhetorically speaking, if I make more money while having 100x the impact? Because at the end of the day, I know you and me are all in it for impact. That's what fills your cup. That's what gives you that feeling of ultimate fulfillment. And I had always heard of it, and I never knew what it meant until I became an entrepreneur that fateful day on April 17th, 2023. And somebody hired me at 2 p.m. to consult on sales for them. And I was like, whoa, why do I feel like I just unlocked the keys to the kingdom? And I would, and I still do, walk outside with my hands to the sky, and I thank the universe for giving me this incredible opportunity to serve others. And that's the whole point. Like, well, if I know how to write not just one, but two best-selling books, why not teach others how to do the same and bring them along? Why not unlock an evergreen offer that gives people all the access in the world to me and to my frameworks, mostly to my frameworks, right? Because you're never actually buying a coach for the coach. You're paying for proximity, and that's what's so cool about this right now is I'm accessible. Okay, no guarantees into 2026, into 27 and 28. We'll modify and we'll change the offer. Like, the whole reason is your money loves speed. So the faster you say yes and the faster you jump in, the faster you're going to start getting to your next level. But in order to do that, you need to shift your identity. We all do. You need to go from hustle harder to billionaire baller, because it isn't about working harder. It's about using the frameworks that I've created from all that time, all that money, and compressed for you to be able to make you go faster. Whether you're stuck on your first or next offer, whether you're wanting to write your first or next book, whether you don't know anything about sales, whether you can't get sales, whether you're like, girl, I don't even know how to sell, I don't even know how to show up on the internet. The frameworks have that in them for you. And now that I'm doing this offer, this allows me to give everything I've ever created to everyone. Because one thing I love to do, and my clients will attest to this, is over deliver. In fact, one of the things that we should all love to do as a corporation or as an individual is over deliver. You know the saying, over promise, under deliver, or under promise, over deliver. Somebody bought a VIP day from me a week ago, and it was a modified version for a significantly modified cost for a very good cause. And ultimately, it was 2 hours of my time. And immediately, I delivered on the offer. First of all, her money loves speed. So how fast can we do it? We've already had those 2 sessions. But in the first session, I said, yo, let's do a third session. So she paid for 2. She got a third. And we're doing that one tomorrow. And I'm like, this is how you over deliver. She's basically getting time and a half, since it was only 2 hours plus a third hour, time and a half, right? How do you over deliver? There's always a move. Maybe it doesn't need to be that generous, but there's always a move to over deliver, and your clients will praise you more, be happier, shout about you from the rooftop, refer more clients to you, more business your way, help you expand your orbit, 100x your influence, to help you 100x your impact by over delivering. And so that is what we really want to do, is over deliver. And with this new offer, I get to do that time and time and time and time and time again. So, drum roll please, we are calling it identity. And I started to talk about identity in bits and pieces. Comment below, but like, step into the identity who's worth their first 6 figures, who's worth their first 7 figures, who's worth a 7-figure day, who's worth that billionaire baller mindset. First, you have to step into the identity. And if you need help doing that, I've got you, right? But what I know you really need are the frameworks. You need repeatable frameworks to make your first offer, to make your 100th offer, to host your first masterclass, to host your 100th masterclass. You need the right framework. And so in identity, it's all of my frameworks that I've already created, plus all of them to come. And I am so freaking stoked. I've watched my mentors and people who I don't get mentored by, that I recently learned about and such. I've watched them do this at grandiose scale with having an incredible impact, and it inspires me. It fires me up. I'm already like this. This is why they call me the Say Yes Queen, the LFG Queen. But this is next, somebody say next level. This is literally next level. So, thank you for letting me come on for over a half hour to share all of this that's on my heart, because I hope not that you're like, hey, what's the offer? Like, what is this? But like, I hope that this left you with value. We talked about compressing time. We talked about over delivering. We talked about your identity shift. We talked about different sales methodologies. We talked about when you go all in on yourself and all in on your mission and all in on your clients, they're gonna feel it. We talked about know, like, and trust. We talked about no one else's opinions, pay my bills. And we talked about consistency compounding. We talked about staying the course, and we talked about making decisions, because all of this is wrapped in the Say Yes and Figure It Out framework. It is. And I'm so grateful that that book exists and that the whole method exists now, because decide, take a step, lean in, and celebrate. We just ran our second 5-day challenge around this topic, and it was so fun, so fired up. Because Say Yes and Figure It Out works if you're wanting to reconnect with your spouse or lose weight, or maybe you actually want to gain weight, or whether you're working toward a business goal, whether that business goal is a year, whether it's a month long, whether it's this quarter. Like, Say Yes and Figure It Out works for all things. And that's why I can't wait for Mel Robbins to be like, yo, Kristen, time to come on to my podcast. I saw you on Brad Lee's podcast. I need some of you and your energy and your framework on my podcast. When can we hook that up? Jay Shetty's going to call me. Oprah's going to call me. Like, I'm so excited, because the more people that put this message on their stage, the more people we can reach with this message. And that is so fulfilling. Not for another dollar ever, but literally to help transform people's lives. And then it just so happens that I am an entrepreneur, and I am a small business owner, and I do have small kids, and I have crazy ambitious goals that I am done making excuses for, and that this is my year. So if you want to watch me literally scale to my first 7 figures now and into 2026, just comment below the word identity or slide into my DMs, and I would love to bring you in as founders to this incredible new mission because it's way more than just an offer. It literally is everything about who I am, everything about what I've become, and everything for you to do the same or even more. So thank you. If you have any questions,